No. Yes, it's on.
Okay, no, but you ask your question, please?
I have another one.
You have another one.
Good afternoon. Thanks to each of you for being here. My name is Allison Phillip. I'm the pastor of this church, First United Methodist Church in Westfield, and I know some of us are part of this faith community, some of us come from the community, the surrounding community, but I'm very glad that each of you is taking time from your Sunday to be here and to bear witness to the story of Eli Sharabi. Before we begin, I want to make a note of thanks to the Jewish Federation of Metro West, who has generously sponsored this event for us. The Jewish Federation of Greater Metro West New Jersey represents about 150,000 Jews across 5 counties, including Union County. Its primary mission is to serve its constituents and to ensure the future of the Jewish people, but it's also deeply engaged in strengthening bonds of friendship with neighbors from across faith communities. And so it's in that spirit of neighboring, which has been a theme here at FUMC Westfield over the past month. It's in that desire to be neighbors that they have invited us to host Eli today. So that said, Eli, thank you for being here. I'm going to come sit with you. And we'll get started. So, is this sounding okay? Can you hear? Great. All right, so I'm going to share a few words of introduction about who you are. Obviously, you can say whatever you would like to say as well about who you are. But for those of you who are learning about Eli for the first time, Eli Sharabi was, up until October 7th, 2023, he lived in the kibbutz of, now tell me if I say this wrong, Be'eri, with a happy family, a happy life, and a brother who lived nearby. And then on that terrible morning, he was kidnapped, taken to Gaza, and held in cruel conditions for 491 days. On February 8th of last year, so almost a full year, Eli was released, only to discover that his wife, Leanne, his daughters, Noya and Yael, and his brother, Yossi, had been murdered. You had this deep personal tragedy, and yet you were an advocate for the release of your fellow hostages, traveling to the White House, the UN Security Council, and countless cities around the globe. You wrote your book, your memoir, Hostage, which was the first published release from a hostage. That's one of Time Magazine's 100 must-read books of the year. So today we're here to listen to your human story of suffering and survival and endurance. We're here to do that with putting our hearts out in ways I hope you feel to hold you in care and respect. But I guess to start off, like I said, it's been almost a full year of being out of captivity. What has this year been like for you?
Good morning. My year was beyond everything I expected when I was 50 meters underground for 16 months. I didn't expect that. But I become very, very busy speaking, advocating for the Israeli hostages that remain in Gaza. Fortunately, it came to an end a week ago. We are very happy about that, and I've been busy, speaking out in Israel and abroad, and writing this book, and as I say, it's not a story, it's a testimony. It's a very important thing to say because I don't want to let anybody, try to change the fact in the future. So writing this testimony was amazing therapeutic process for me. unfortunately, this year was so busy that I'm almost, I don't see really my family and friends like I wanted to see and be with, but it was very, very important. So in my mission, I'm very happy with my mission.
Thank you for telling us about that. I guess to start next, or as a next step, I'd be curious to hear more about the village where you lived.
Okay.
You went there when you made the decision yourself when you were 16 to move to the kibbutz. You moved from Tel Aviv. What led to that decision, and what was life like for you and your family?
For me as a kid, living in a kibbutz, have a childhood in a kibbutz, looked something like very magical. I really wanted that all the time. So when I was in age 16, I decided to move to the kibbutz Be'eri. For me, living in Be'eri, and it was an amazing place, like in heaven. Great community, very supportive, very caring and loving. Communal life, and for us, and just, after the army, I met Liane. She came from England to be a volunteer for 3 months. We met each other, we fell in love, and raising 2 amazing daughters, Noya and Yahel, that had great childhood with lots of friends, lots of activities. We had very peaceful and normal life. Unfortunately, this happened turns to hell on morning of October 7th.
Before we move into the morning of October 7th, can you tell us about your wife and your daughters, a little bit more about them?
Liane was very proud British woman, proud about all the British things, special food. I don't understand this food. But for us, she loved the kibbutz, she loved the community, she loved music, she liked to sing. She used to work in Be'eri Print as an accountant for 20 years, and then something like 5 years before October 7th, she made a change. She became dentist assistant, and she was very happy from this change. And Noya was all heart, loved music, but especially loved to help kids with disabilities. And that's what she did for 3 years before October 7. And Yahel was our boy. She loved everything that was extreme. She played soccer, she jumped from airplanes, she did a scuba diving course, and all this until age 13. She was full of life, especially her sense of humor was something else. I miss them a lot.
I appreciate you giving us a little bit about them like that. So we go to October 7th.
Yes.
You were awakened early that morning by air raid sirens, which wasn't unusual. That was something that was a common occurrence. You were close to the border. But that day you woke up the girls, you went into your safe room, something you'd done many times. When did you realize that this situation was different? And then also if you could tell us about the decision that you and your wife made when you realized that there were terrorists in your home.
Yes. Well, we've been all busy with our phones in the safe room, waiting it's all finished, and it didn't. And we start to see the videos on TV, from the news, from Sderot and Ofakim, it's towns near us, and from the Nova Festival, of young people running for their lives because terrorists start to shoot everybody, and then yet we didn't really understand everything. But when kids start to send messages in the WhatsApp group of the kibbutz of something like somebody shot dad, somebody shot mom, and really screaming in these messages, and our house is burning, And then we start to understand geographically where it's coming from, and reading these messages for us, when you know these kids that play with your daughters, and I know their parents, and some of them my friends. It's very difficult to read these messages, but then Liane and I understood that they're on their way to our house, to our neighborhood as well. And we decided, we started whispering to each other, and we decided not to resist, not to fight. We don't have any weapon in the house, and we need to protect our daughters. That's the main mission. So we presume I'll be kidnapped, but we really plan to say to them immediately about their British passport, and we believed this passport will protect them. And that's what we did when they got in to their house. They opened the safe room door very easily. Our dog barked, stressed them. They started to shoot in the safe room, and we jumped. Liane jumped on Noya and covered her with her body, and I jumped on Yahel and shout them to stop. And after 10 seconds, they stopped, and we checked everybody's okay. We gave them our cell phones like they ordered us, and it was all very quiet in the house. Nobody cried, nobody was hysterical, just loads of fear. 3 or 4 terrorists took Noya and Yahel to the kitchen area. 2 of them grabbed me in my hands, and the other just waited. Liane will get dressed because we were jumped from our bed. And when they, I've heard the leader of this terrorist telling the 2 guys that hold me to take me out of the house, understood they're going to kidnap me. That was the moment. And they understood about the British passport like we planned. They understood everything. And when they took me out from the door, I just shouted to my daughters, I'll be back. Just not to make them worried. Unfortunately, our plan didn't really work. 5 minutes after I was kidnapped, they shot them in their heads. And and me kidnapped on the same day was, first thing I saw, it's our friend's house burning. Apparently they've been murdered 5 minutes before my kidnap. And they start to drag me 200 meters through the fence. And all these 300 meters, I've seen something like 100 terrorists in our neighborhood coming in and out from every house, filming themselves, celebrating, laughing. And some of them tried to hit me on the way to the car. And that's it. When we arrived at the car, they pushed me in the back of the car. I was already in my surviving mode. For me, it was more than obvious that I'm survived. I didn't feel anything. They hit me, but I didn't feel anything. And in the car, I decided to start to count minutes to understand where they're taking me. And then we arrived to Gaza after something like 20 minutes, after half an hour. The first stop was in a mosque. They came to take me out, and when they tried to take me out, a mob of civilians that were outside of the mosque succeeded to take me away from them and tried to lynch me. Men with bare hands and kids was on top of me with their shoes hitting my head. Fortunately, the terrorists that had been with me in the car succeeded to take me into the mosque, undressed me, interrogate me. They were very surprised I know Arabic. And they thought I'm from the Mossad. It's like a secret service of Israel because I know Arabic. And then from there, just, took us to another 3-4 stops, changing teams and cars to confuse the army. And at the end of the half an hour like that, we arrived to a Palestinian family house.
And that's where is that the house where you stayed for 50 or so days?
52 days.
52 days.
Yes.
And what was that time like for you?
In the beginning, it was very bad. 3 days. We were chained with ropes on our hands and legs. These ropes, after 2 or 3 minutes, already tore our flesh, and just been in really big pain. And I remember that I was lost my conscience from time to time. Wake up, asking for water and food, begging for them to take the ropes off me. And after 3 days, they took it off, but they put iron chain on my legs with locks. This iron chain was with me 24/7 for 485 days. They took it off just a week before my release.
So you spent 50 days in that house with a Palestinian family, and then I guess after those 52 days, they took you out and they forced you into the tunnels?
Yes, we walked, they said to us, a day before they brought another Israeli hostage to my house, and a day after they took us in the evening to the mosque, took us to a side room, opened a door on the floor, on the ground, and we've seen the ladder, and they ordered us to climb down. I tried to refuse. It looked like the perfect grave for me. And after something like 30 seconds, they loaded their guns, pointing to my head. And that was the moment I remember my promise to my daughters and chose life again and start to climb down 50 meters underground through the darkness. After 10 minutes walk, we've seen a light in the end of the tunnel. It was a big relief. And I met in the tunnels another 6 Israeli hostages.
So what was the hardest part of this? I mean, this was a long time being in a very hard place. It must have felt like a hopeless situation a lot of the time, and yet you chose life. Can you tell us, when you say choose life, what did that feel like for you? What did that mean to you?
This state of mind that choosing life, it's with you every day, every moment. I've been 14 months, 50 meters underground. The hygienic conditions were very, very poor. We got shower every 6 weeks with a half bucket of cold water. Soap or toothpaste were luxuries. We had 2 meals most of the time. When I say most of the time, it was 8 months like that. Unfortunately, before that, I'm talking about the food, humiliations on daily basis, psychological terror every day about our government, our families forgot about us, that we are going to stay there for 20 years and things like that. And violence from time to time. One time they broke my ribs. One of them got a phone call that the IDF bombed his house, so we throw the phone on the floor, start to run towards us. We were chained on our legs, so we can't really start to run or something like that from him. And unfortunately, I was the closest to the entrance. He got me, start to punch my ribs, kick me, step on me. I probably broke some ribs because I couldn't breathe properly for 2 or 3 months. And I needed my friend's help to standing every time I went to the toilet. But the worst thing was 6 months before our release, they reduce our meals from 2 meals a day to 1 meal a day. And when I say meal, it's not really like you imagine a meal, it's a bowl of pasta or bowl of rice, or 1.5 pita bread, very dry one. This is a meal. So they reduce us from 2 meals a day to 1 meal a day. That happened on July 24, and it lasts until the end of January of 25. And when I arrived to Gaza on October 7, I was more than 70 kilos. When I was released on February 8, 25, I was 44 kilos.
I can't imagine, probably most of us can't imagine surviving half an hour like that. What helped you get through the day for 491 days?
First of all, we've been for, most of the time, we've been for Israeli hostages. In the beginning, we've been 7. Unfortunately, after 3 days, they moved 3 of them to other tunnels. They've been murdered 10 months later in other tunnel. These 3 guys that we've been with, we've been for 14 months. So in the end of the day, if I think about it, being as a group gave us loads of strength that we can survive together. I don't say it was easy to be with, suddenly with 3 guys that you never met before, and to manage staying civilized and being one group for a long time like that with this condition. But again, we made our routine. It was very, very important. It's something I said to them immediately. When I say to them because I was then 52 years old, and they've been 24, 25. They've all been kidnapped from the Nova Festival. I was kidnapped from my house in Be'eri. For me, they were very young. So when I understood that we are going to be a very long time there, I said to them, we have to have a routine. Otherwise, the time will not pass, and we're not, it will help us to stay sane. So we prayed every morning. We trained, and most of the time we talked about everything, about our childhood, about our family, about our friends, our hobbies, anything is possible. We knew everything about each other, and that helped us a lot to stay united as a group, and that's what helped us.
So it sounds like it was those relationships that really sustained you. And those must have, it touches me hearing that, because I so often think that we're made for relationship and whatever else. That we're made for relationship with each other and with God. I also think that you were a secular Jew coming into this space. You talk about prayer. Can you talk about the role spirituality and faith played for you and how it contributed to resiliency?
When you're in that extreme experience, that nobody's, prepare you to something like that, you're trying to find any source that will give you strength. I think maybe the most important source for me, and I know it's for the others as well, was faith. Finding our faith again, because all 4 of us, we've been unreligious. We are Jews. We are Jews from, birth. But we're not, in Israel you can live, in a religious way of life or not. And we all been unreligious. The first moment they pushed me in the car on October 7, in the back of the car, and put a blanket on me, I start to say Shema Israel. Shema Israel, it's a bless that can keep you, that you believe keep you, that God keep you and with you. I've said that for 491 days since. I don't know how I said that. I'm not religious. But it gave me lots of strength. We all waited for Friday night. It's very important in Judaism this day, Friday night. we said some prayers. I know all the prayers by heart because I born and raised in a traditional family, not religious, but very traditional family in Tel Aviv, so I knew all the blessings by heart. And these moments were amazing for all four of us because it was very emotional moments. It was moments that we, like, united with our families, with the memories of the families sitting around the table of Friday night, thinking about us, praying for us. And I say emotional moments, each one of us with tears, and again, it gave us lots of strength, and we believed that. And I remember that we've been so hungry. We tried to eat all the crumbs for the carpets in the, just you find the crumb and you think that will save me. But again, when we went to the toilet 2 o'clock in the morning, this terrorist tried to bribe us with a little bit of food, and we, just if we say some sentences from the Quran, and we were so hungry that we could eat the walls, but we refused to say that and to take this food as a bribe. And believe me, it was much more than a food to refuse something like that. This is how you choose to stay a human being, and this belonging to Judaism and Israelis, very important.
Yeah, it kept you connected to something that was an important
Yes.
part of who you
Yes.
are.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I appreciate what you said about, as you would say the prayers, you would think of the family who you had said those prayers with before as something so sustaining. Thank you for sharing that. Do you consider yourself, it's interesting, do you consider yourself self-religious now, or you still consider yourself
way.
non-religious?
My brother is religious.
Uh-huh.
He lives a religious way of life, and that's fine, that's great. It's not me.
Yeah.
But I found my faith in God again. I really, really believe that I had this, we say in Hebrew, ashgacha pratit. It means private protection. So you believe that someone is bigger than you, keeping you alive in all these junctions of death and life, and you have many of them in captivity in Gaza for 491 days, and every time I was alive after that. So I believe somebody protected me.
I see. Thank you. One of the other hostages, Hirsch Goldberg Poland, said, "He who has a why can bear any how." That reminds me of Viktor Frankl's book on Man's Search for Meaning. What does that saying mean to you? Was it true for your experience?
Yes, Goldberg Pauline was one of a kind. Unfortunately, he was one of the 3 guys that moved to other tunnel and was murdered 10 months later.
You were with him in the tunnel, though.
Yes, I've been with
I
him
didn't
3
realize.
days.
Yeah.
And he said that to us because, in the first 3 days that we know him, we all spoke about our families and who we were surviving for. So he said that this sentence and just gave words to our behavior. And it was a gift for us because we kept reminding to ourselves his sentence that he read in Viktor Frankl's book. And it was a gift for us, and I'm really, really grateful for that, to him. And, I said that to his parents. Unfortunately, he didn't survive this hell. So it was very, very meaningful for us.
Thanks for sharing that. I want to go back to the 3 men who you were with. You can share their names with us. One of them, I think you were reunited with. He was kept longer than you, and you're recently reunited with him. Can you tell us about a little more about your relationships with the 3 men, and also your reunion with I think Alon?
Yes. The connection with Alon was after 1 hour we spoke we find so many in common between us. Our birthdays is 3 days difference in February. He loves to scuba diving. I did scuba diving, and his father used to walk in a place. I walked with, something like 100 meters from his father, and we didn't know about each other. And his Alon's brother used to be in Barry, volunteered with the kids for 1 year before his army. So we start to find, but the most special thing that I recognized his values was same values I was born and raised, and that was in that moment we said we're going to be for each other all the way until we are going to see our families. And unfortunately, I was released on February 8th, and he wasn't, because he was younger than us. And he was released 8 months later. So reunited with him, and was something very, very special. I'm very proud of him that he was, be able to survive on his own for 8 months. And since he was released, we are together, and we speaking almost every day to each other. We are seeing each other when we can in Israel, and it's, of course, it's for life, this friendship.
So I'm gonna shift a little bit to a different type of question that I'd mentioned to you when I met you out in the hallway. You lived in a kibbutz that was, really there were a lot of peace activists living there. And I think for me personally, I tend toward what's probably idealism about peace. And I think that's easy for me to do because I'm living here in this safe place. And I'm wondering, after having been through this experience, how that idealism connects with reality. What, if any, hope do you have for peace? What would be necessary?
As you mentioned, we've been very activist for peace with our neighbors, the Gazans. We donated money, food, clothes from time to time. We used to take them from the border, ill people, to hospital medical treatments, and we really, really tried, and we believed in peace. Unfortunately, I think October 7 was a serious wake-up call to all of us, because we understand today that except of the Hamas terrorists, after them, civilians, Gazans, came in to Israel, to our neighborhood, to our houses, murdered, raped, set on fire our houses, took everything from the house, after they seen all these bodies in the house. So it's make you to start to think what's wrong with this reality. But again, I never, for me, living in peace, it's a way of life. I don't hate anyone. I don't want to kill anyone. I wish we will see in the future peace in our area. I wish most of the Israelis want that. But after October 7, it's really, really quite hard to believe something like that can happen. It will take at least 2 generations to re-educate kids in Gaza to think differently for what they are brainwashed, think about the Israelis. Unfortunately, I've seen it on, very, very close, these things.
Yeah, you mentioned in the book the hatred you felt from ordinary people in Gaza, and yet you also talked about how, as they got to know you, you experienced some form of human connection. I'd be curious to hear about that. In particular, there was an instance where someone said to you, if only more Israelis were like you, and you replied, they are. Can you share with us about that experience and what you take from it?
Again, as I said, I experienced this, ignorance about from them, not to really to understand what Israel as a state, who are the Israelis. They really, really believe. They learn about that in the mosques and things like that. Maybe in schools as well. That the Israelis want to kill them. Every day we wake up and we just want to kill them, unfortunately. I remember that the most fear of Hamas was civilians will, see me and recognize me that I'm not local, and they will lynch me every time in the Palestinian family house, any junction, any time we went on the streets of Gaza. So Hamas used to protect us because we were an asset for them from the civilians. And with the Hamas terrorists, we had a relationship. We have to have a relationship. We are living with them 24/7. You understand the relationship with them, very respectful one, very, very delicate one, is very, very important for me in my mission to survive and give me, the ability I can be able to ask for more food, for more other things, for pillows or mattress or medical treatments if I need. And you start to live with these people, you have a conversation with them. Of course, they are human beings. Unfortunately, very twisted, brainwashed with jihad, fundamentalistic opinions and things like that. But they are human beings. And, and you start to know them, and they start to know you, and they start to find something that, that is not fit to what they thought before. It's very, very interesting.
That feels like a sliver of hope to have some that you could see humanity and that.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
It's very, very important. They are human beings.
Yeah.
And just when they've been with us, they look that, well, you don't want to kill us.
Yeah.
That's amazing. We didn't know something like that happened, We thought all the Israelis want to kill us. Things like that, of course.
Yeah.
Believe me, if it was depend on the people, the regular people, it was peace long time ago. Unfortunately, there's leaders that, especially terrorists, that have other interests. That's crazy.
Yeah. I guess we can come to the part about after 491 days, you were brought up from the tunnels and you saw daylight for the first time in over a year and a half. Can you walk us through those moments of coming out, what you were told, what you believed, what you felt?
2 days before my release, one of Hamas leaders approached me with his phone, showed me a photo of my brother, my older brother Yossi, and happily announced me that he was kidnapped as well on October 7, and he was killed in captivity after 100 days. And then we arrived to the February 8th, the day of our release. They took us to a horrible ceremony with thousands of people around us, civilians. We've done rehearsals of 3 hours for Q&A. They prepare ahead. One of the questions to me that how I feel that I'm going to meet my wife and my daughters in a few minutes. We didn't care. We just, for us it was our last humiliation on this stage. We transferred to the Red Cross, and from there, after 15 minutes, to the IDF on the border. From my happiest moment in all this time, for 491 days, the day of my release, in a second, it's become my worst day as well. A social worker from the IDF approached me and said to me that my mother and my sister are waiting for me. And I said to her, just bring me my wife and my daughters. And she said, your mother and your sister will tell you. And I didn't need more than that to understand that Leanne, Noya, and Yael didn't survive October 7. So I cried for 5 minutes. She hugged me, and it was like a hammer on my head. But again, for me, it was another moment that I can choose something, you know, how to react to something, because that's what I did for 491 days. I didn't choose to be kidnapped, but I chose how to react. I chose if to go, you know, to climb down in the tunnels or not. I could choose not and to die in the same moment. And I chose for 491 days what to hold on, memories and faith in God and things like that. And especially I chose how to stay human being in very extreme conditions, especially the starvation. And at that moment I could let the grief and my loss to bury me, or to choose to move on, to find a way to move on. And I'm a very practical person. I know I can't do anything to bring back not Yossi, not Liane, not Noya and Yael. And I know who gives me strength in that situation. It's always my family, always my dearest friend that with me for 40, 50 years. And I just want to meet them and hug them and be with them. And since that day, I'm full, you know, I'm surrounded with circles of love and support. And I can't be more than grateful for that. So I don't feel that I have a privilege to stay in bed and cry all day. And I move on with my life. I will rebuild my life, that's for sure.
When Rabbi Prosnet, who's the rabbi at Temple Emmanuel in Westfield, when he had first invited me to host you, one of the things he said was this theme of choosing life, and you've talked about it in a lot of different ways, which I really appreciate. And for a second I lost what my next thought was. But it sounds like choosing life when you found out the most horrible news, your worst day, this day that was supposed to be the best day. Choosing life meant still surrounding yourself with with the people who you could surround yourself with. And again, it's like this community and this relationship with other people that held you. And it sounds like that's a message that I take away of how deeply important relationships are to holding on to our humanity.
Good.
You didn't want your family to be buried in Barry,
Yes.
because that place that you had called home since you were a teenager is no longer home. Instead, I believe they're buried in England near your wife's family.
They're not buried
No.
in England. No, they're
Where are
buried where my sister lives in Moshav. It's very small place in central of Israel, surrounded with fields, and it's a place they loved to come to stay with my sister. And so for me, it's a perfect decision that I wasn't, you know, there to get. So they got this. So I can move them to buried in Barry, but I choose not to do that.
Yeah.
Enough, it's enough. I rebuild my life. I need a new start. It will not happen in Barry. So it's really suits me that Leanne, Noya, and Yael not buried there.
I understand. That makes sense to me. Where have you started to rebuild your life? And can you tell us more about the new life that you've been building?
Again, I'm very, very busy. 10 days after my release, I finished to be in hospital. I moved to a place, just continue recovering. And immediately I was joined my family on the struggle of bringing back Yossi's body from Gaza. Fortunately, we succeeded that, and he was buried 4 months ago, and in Israel, like it should be. Now his wife, his daughters have a grave to cry on, and it was very, very important. So I was very busy in that missions, to speaking out for the other hostages that couldn't speak, and to support their families, because I knew what it's make me to hear how much Israelis and Jewish all around the world support my family at the time I've been in captivity. So that was very, very important for me to continue that, writing this book, speaking in the UN and all these things. So it's very, very important.
What do you see next for yourself as you continue to move past February 8th and onward?
What happened next time?
What do you see for yourself next?
Next.
As you continue forward?
I hope, very calm and normal life, back to normal life. Hope to be anonymous one day in Israel. Mm-hmm. So I want some quiet and finish with that, speaking about these things and continue to heal and rebuild my life.
I wish that for you also.
Thank you.
I'm going to end with one more question. One of the things that we've been talking about from our Christian faith, our Methodist faith, one of the things that Jesus tells us is to love God and to love our neighbor. And we've been talking about what it looks like to love our neighbor. And I'm wondering what you might tell us about what it looks like to love our neighbor from your perspective.
Again, if you meant love our neighbors, it's looking for peace with our neighbors. It's really, really important for me. I wish it will happen one day. Mm-hmm. As I said, most of the Israelis want that, want to live in peace. We wish for that. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like right now. But most important than that, it's if I can give you one message, just appreciate all the basic things in life. Appreciate freedom, it's priceless. And you start to understand 50 meters underground that material things, it's not most important things. You don't think about if your house is 100 meters square or 200 meters square, if you have 4 bedrooms or 6 bedrooms house, or if you have a very good car or not, or you don't miss your money in the bank. Mm-hmm. You miss your family and friends, and you're willing to give everything for 5 more minutes with them. Yeah. And that's most important.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a deep privilege to have you with us today. And I definitely hear that theme of holding people close and building those relationships that matter. And when there are many things out there that could dehumanize us, to hold on to what makes us human and what makes other people human. So I wish you continued strength and healing as you move beyond a year out of captivity. And I hope that as you leave here today, you feel the love and the respect and the deep admiration of this community. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And I hope for all of us that, yes. I hope that for all of us, we're able to carry Eli's words in our hearts and in ways that deepen our compassion and deepen our commitment to the dignity of all people. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
So just a quick note for anybody who came in late, or if you know someone who came in late and has already left, we do have a recording that we can distribute. So feel free to email me for the link. It's also on FUMC Westfield's YouTube page.